So, the simple idea is if nothing in my life matters, then literally everything is an option. Like most times people think about addicts as like, why the hell would you do something crazy ass like that? That's just fucking nutty. Like addicts do some really extreme shit. Like jamming needles in your arm is a really extreme hobby, for lack of a better way of putting it, or really extreme activity. Doing something to the extent where all other things don't matter. Well, it's maybe they don't matter, but they don't have as much of a level of importance to them. You know what I mean? So, where does that come from? How does this happen when, there's a couple sides to this. I think a big piece, I was talking to the group yesterday, and they're just a bunch of normal people that work at this organization. And, when I started looking at them, I was like, oh, so you guys probably know what you're doing next Tuesday, right? You probably know, you got a general idea of what you're doing tomorrow, or Thursday, or a week from Saturday. Most normal functioning people have some idea of long-term thinking.
Yeah.
But addicts live in these little blocks of time. There's literally just the moment. This next 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, long-term thinking, maybe what am I going to do 3 hours from now? Like when you're really in the throes of using. It's just moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. And when I base my reality on living just moment to moment to moment, long-term consequences don't matter. Because it doesn't have anything to do with right now. So, combine that idea with the idea I was trying to think about is if nothing else matters, then anything goes, basically means I don't matter. And if I don't matter to myself, everything that I run into is a potential option.
Mm-hmm. Which is hard in early recovery because it's kind of ironic, right? You're in recovery to learn how to put yourself first while you don't believe in putting yourself first. Like you're asked to give a shit about yourself, and the reason that you're there is because you don't. And so it's almost like you're supposed to have this destination to want to get to, but in the beginning it's kind of like, well, how am I supposed to do things for me if I don't give a shit about me yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's sort of ironic.
Yeah. Be self-centered as far as it comes to, as far as I need to take care of my own needs and put my needs above what everybody else is asking for me. As far as my recovery needs. But yet that makes me feel like I'm a self-centered piece of crap, or that, it's all about me, But on the other side of it, when I really make everything all about me and my just basic needs, then that's addiction. or it's a piece of addiction. So where do you find the balance in that?
And how do you get the motivation to do that when in today, in that moment, you don't give a shit about you? Like, how do you put yourself first when you don't give a shit? Like, how do you find that motivation?
Yeah, or is it motivation or is it self-worth?
Well, it's like you don't have self-worth yet, so you don't know how to do good things for yourself. Like, it's like you're learning how, but you don't care. To me, it's really like fake it till you make it, right? Like, I have to do things that are good for me, even if I don't give a shit about me. Mm-hmm. And have hope that doing these things will get me there.
And and having the piece, the patience that I don't like me and I'm just doing this kind of because I'm told. But when nothing matters to me, especially me about myself, like I I said this too much. I'm even sick of hearing it, but I didn't use drugs because I like drugs. I used drugs because I didn't like me. And when I don't like me, every single toxic activity or behavior or relationship that comes up, sure, why not? What's the fucking matter? I'm a piece of shit anyway.
Yeah, fuck it.
So fuck it. What's it matter?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's going to get me outside of my own skin. You know, because I just can't sit still with myself. Ever. So when anything, you know, when I look at, you know, why does lying to my family matter? They already think I'm a piece of shit anyway. So why not just reinforce that? You know?
Right.
You know, I'm going to fuck up this job anyway, so why don't I just destroy it now? You know? Every person that I've been with thinks if they don't tell me I'm good, then they're just going to reevaluate what I already tell myself, which is that I suck.
Yeah, if you suspect me of using when I'm not, well, I might as well go do it, because it's so hard to just do it for me because I don't care about me. So if now you don't care when what I really need is approval, fuck it.
Yeah, or the great addict version, which I've been trying to figure out for years, is, oh, you think I'm fucked up? I'm going to go hurt myself and then you'll learn. Like, I'll go destroy myself.
Everything.
I'll destroy everything and then you'll learn some lesson magically because I'm fucked up. Which is never, ever, ever the case. It's always just, some other version of that. So, how do we upturn this apple cart? How do you actually... because I think the goal should be, or what should it be the goal? An effective way of doing things differently is, like, how do we upset that whole dynamic? How do we find different ways to approach ourselves to when the toxic, nasty, whatever versions of shit that shows up in our life show up, we actually can reflect, we go, wow, that's not good for me, and I know it, and I actually kind of care about me. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some level of self-preservation in there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe part of it is like, how people are always saying, oh, I was in desperation, or I hit bottom, or whatever. I think, like, maybe I still don't care about myself yet, but I would rather give something different a try than, because I can't keep doing this. It's almost like this scale, right? Like I don't care about me, but I'm going to keep doing these things to make me feel a little bit better. But then it gets to the point where it's like nothing is making me feel better, and it's almost like you've hit a dead end. And so it's like, I'm going to try this recovery stuff just because I've run this thing into the ground. Like, it's no longer working for me. So, like, maybe I don't think meetings or counseling or whatever is going to work. But I definitely know that this thing isn't working at all. So maybe I'll just...
So there's a chance that maybe that'll work a little bit? Yeah, I literally was talking to somebody on the way here that was having that example. Well, I don't drink a lot, and I haven't done fentanyl in, a couple months, which, I don't know, take the addict curve to that's probably a couple days, if at all, But, I get it. Like, I didn't want to quit. I had zero desire to stop using dope. But I had a lot of desire to stop going to jail. And I had a lot of desire to stop hurting my family. And I had a lot of desire to stop being homeless and broke. And, all sorts of negative things that come with using.
Yeah.
And the one common denominator was always, using. So how do you find self-worth when everything I tell myself is the opposite?
Yeah, and I feel like it's, some sort of like common denominator that I feel like, because people do recovery in different ways, but it seems like there's a common denominator of social interaction and connection. Like whether people go to church or whether they go to meetings or whether they go to group therapy, like a lot of it is about positive social connections. And I think like we really need to hear that we're doing well by someone, because that outward approval, even though it's not ideal, that outward approval means so much when there's absolutely zero internal approval.
Yeah, I mean, there's, the very common thing of going to meetings and, oh, keep coming back. Why? You don't fucking know me. Why do you want me here? You're just going to find out who I am and then shove me away later anyway, so why don't I just beat you to the punch? But you're right. I think there's a huge piece of social, like, we are social creatures. Like the, I mean, if you think about it simply, why have we taken over this entire planet?
Yeah.
Because we're really good at working together. And part of working together is communal affirmation of who we are. I don't care what anybody says. It feels good to be like, hey, you're doing great. I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's like why, I don't know, it's always like being of service or volunteering or being a part of the community is so important, because it's like, oh, like I am needed. Like I feel needed by other people, even though like I can't see that and I don't understand that I have worth. Lots of people keep telling me I do, so that's something.
Yeah, and I can come through and keep looking at what's next, and see. I mean, I swear, like, when I went to my first home group, and I was just setting up chairs and making coffee, and the first person came in, hey, dude, looks kind of good in here. And I was like, it does? Holy shit! And I looking back at it now, I didn't realize it then, but that was the first time I had heard anything positive in so long, and that fed on itself. It made me want to do more and more and more and more. And by doing more and more and more, I actually became part of that community to where I felt a part of, instead of the entire life when I was using being isolated or separate from.
Yeah, totally. I still remember like the first time, like my service commitment, like being handed a bunch of money and being expected to bring things back without like any sort of suspicion in their eyes or anything like that. I mean, I wanted to cry, because I was like, I don't think I'm a trustworthy person, and most people in my life for a long time have not trusted me, but like these people trust me, so maybe I am trustworthy. Like maybe I do have good qualities.
Yeah, and being involved, like I remember you talking about every time that you'd walk in, all the ladies in your family would grab their purses. And
hide your shit. Hide your shit. She's here.
She's here. Hide your shit before it disappears. Yeah, and like we got so accustomed to, and that was the same thing with me. Like maybe it wasn't stealing their shit, or maybe it was just, I remember. My mom, when we were at Christmas, she's like, the best thing about Christmas? And I was like, expecting to hear some story of my nieces or my family. And I'm like, no. She's like, that I don't have to listen to your bullshit reason this year why you're not going to be here. Because they just got so accustomed to our old ways of being that I think we got accustomed to our old ways of being. This was this is my, my high water mark was just not stealing, Or actually showing up when I said I was, which is just a fairly normal thing to do, but
and it's like, I think that's why in recovery we're so encouraged to seek outside support, because like, I got that at the meeting, but like when I was home, if I just touched the doorknob, my mom would pop out of the woodworks, be like, where are you going? Who are you going with? When are you going to be back? Or, and so like, we all know it takes a long time to rebuild trust. That's just a fact. But in the meantime, we still need approval to keep us going. And so it's like, we can't expect that, to receive that from the people who are still trying to figure out if we are who we say we are today.
Totally. And there's a big piece like that looks like I know. I mean, recovery is hard enough to figure out when you've lived it. You know, like addicts do counterintuitive crazy shit. You know, you're going to do something you know is destroying your life, but yet you're going to do it anyway. You know, and so when you're on the other side to that, like when we go back and we've essentially become a very different person. You know, there's a tool in the book, you know, the reentry vehicles talks about this, is how do we, you know, how can I explain this? If you were to think about your life like a Broadway play, you know, in my old life I fulfilled a very specific role. I was my mom used to say, oh, he's just a hippie. Oh, he's just, you know, it's just a phase. It's just this. But I was the broken one or the black sheep or the drug addict or the drunk or the whoever, you know. At least I'm sure you had some version of the same story. But the reality is...
Ghetto, angry, bitch, thinks she's hot shit. Don't fuck with her.
Yeah. Don't get close to her. So we all fulfilled a very specific role. Well, on the other side of that equation, our families also fulfilled a very specific role. You know, they were, you know, their role in the play was they were the fixer, the helper, you know, or they were, you know, I don't know what anybody's family's like, but, or they were also fucked up, you know, and so we all had these dynamics that we fixed. Well, the thing is, most people come into a program and they put in the work and, you know, they know minute by minute and hour by hour and day by day and week by week and month by month and year by year how they've gotten to where they are now. But the reality of that is most times other people don't. They don't know how you turned into who you are. So like if you were to go to treatment and you get out, you know who your family's expecting back? The person that left. Because they're still operating on that old operating system of what you guys used to do. But I come back and I'm no longer the same person I once was because I put in a lot of work. You know, and I'm not saying that's the end of the road by any means. There's always more work you can do. But they start to create that old dynamic again. You know? And like you've ever heard of people sabotaging, you know, your family sabotaging your recovery. I mean, it sounds nutty. Why would you want to do that? You're the one who wanted me to go do this, but yet now you're poking holes in all the things I need to do.
Yeah, because now you're forcing me to change. There's some change happening, and I realize it's affecting me, and change is scary for anybody, and I don't know what to do with that because we have this long-ass history of me acting in a certain way, and it's just like we are trying to find ways to feel needed. Like we filled the void for those people too, so they also felt needed because we were fuck ups. Yeah. And feeling less needed is scary.
Totally. And when you come in, you know, and everything, you know, like it is, it's like silently without a word being said, we force our families to change because we're no longer who we used to be. So without you, who am I? You know, how do I find a different way to exist in the world? And they probably haven't done this. Now I'm not making a blanket statement for everybody, but they probably haven't done the same level of work that the addict has. Yeah. Most times, you know. And so they come in and yeah, you're right. I've lost my identity. What do you mean you don't need fixed anymore? What do you mean you don't need me to do the enabling role? What do you need? You don't need me to do all the shit that I always did. You know? So who am I now without you? You know, and a lot of family comes through, and that's a really hard thing to see. You know, so how do you catch them up to who you are now? You know, I think at the big piece, like I remember sitting down with my mom and being like, you know, if you would have ever told me that sharing with my mom that I was an IV drug user would have brought us closer, I'd have thought you're out of your goddamn mind. But the reality is, now I'm not speaking for everybody's family, and if your family is somebody who's going to, you know, weaponize that experience against you, that's not what I mean. But it was super important to me to sit down and be like, hey, this is what's important to me now. I go to these meetings because of this. I'm seeing a counselor because it helps me with that. This IOP thing that I'm in helps me with my behaviors. I'm living in a sober living and not because with you because I need a safe environment to be in. Drug tests are actually beneficial for accountability. Volunteering helps me work on self-worth. And just trying to dynamically do a lot of things differently.
Yeah, and yeah, being able to like explain that or provide that without like I don't know, like just because we've changed doesn't mean okay, now it's time for you to change too. Like get on the wagon here with me, because everyone has their own process, right? And so like I don't know. I'm thinking like there's a level of transparency that we need to have, but then at the same time, some things have to be shared with the outside support group, right? Because it's like if I told my mom, "Oh, I want to use right now," like she doesn't understand triggers or cravings, so she'd be like, "Oh my God, the roof is gonna cave in. She wants to use. Is she gonna go out and use now? What's going on?" Like I don't. I share that in a group where other people are like, "Yeah, me too. I felt that today." Because I think part of it too is like the normal whatever people they it's kind of like no, I'm the good guy. Like you've always been the bad guy, and when we are like, hey, um, like there's maybe some work that you could benefit from doing on yourself as well. It's like, no, what are you talking about? You're the fuck up. I'm the good one.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't want to have to be like, oh, maybe I have been in some way part of the problem, either an enabler or codependent or whatever, and I need to do work too. Like that can be like a shock.
Oh yeah, a lot of people come in. Why do I have to do it? They're the ones with the problem. Why do I got to do anything?
Yeah, if they would just stop, everything would be fine.
Yeah, but the reality is, we've all created a dynamic. We are social creatures, and so when we change the roles and the dynamics we're in, that does involve everybody. I mean, no less. Like addicts always like, I don't know why you care. I'm only hurting myself. But the fact of the reality is, we do hurt other people. We usually hurt every person around us, and we change the relationship with every person around us. So if we did that while using, it makes sense that we need to change the dynamic when in recovery, and that doesn't just mean us. It means other people seeing a different perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's okay for that to maybe be the motivation in early recovery. Like you said, like I just don't want to go to jail. Like some people's like, I just want my wife to get off my back, or I just want to not lose my job, or whatever. Like I don't think we don't come in with self-worth, so we're not expected to like have 2 days clean and be like, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
Like, so, and it's the data says that it in the beginning, right, that it doesn't matter. Like whatever gets you there, and then you go from there, and you, by doing those things for other people, you're doing things that are rebuilding self-worth. So you're learning how to do it for you with time.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, you're right, because nobody shows up in recovery because life's going great.
Yeah.
Nobody decides to start working on things. Oh, things are fantastic. I think I'm going to take a really deep introspective look for who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, some people may, but I think they're monks or somebody like that. But most people in recovery start because life's a complete shit show. And everything's gone sideways, and nothing's working the way it was supposed to, and I don't know what to do, and everything kind of sucks. So, taking a reflective look at what that looks like, is important.
And I think that's like what you were saying, like if nothing matters, everything goes. Like maybe I'm not really sure if I matter yet, but if I go to pro-social activities or groups, uh, maybe I'll hear that maybe I do matter to others, and like maybe because I believe that we've always had values. They just had to like go underground, right? So it's not like so what mattered for me was family and is family. That's always been a value for me. So that's something that matters to me. But like my brain in addiction would be like, oh, I'm just gonna borrow $100 out of grandma's purse and then I'm gonna go pick up, and then once I sell that, I can put the money back and she'll never know.
Mhm.
Like that's the thought
Yeah.
that's in my head. And then when I use the whole sack because I can't sell it faster than I use it, then grandma's like, why is my
Where's
wallet
my money gone?
empty?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you're a thief. And in my brain, I'm like, no, I swear I was just borrowing it. Like I was gonna put it back before you
Yeah,
found
totally.
out. So like,
I was well
yes,
intended.
family did still matter to me, but I had to like park it underground. Like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, I'll deal with that later. Right now, I have to deal with the using, right? Like that short-term thinking you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a huge, like, I mean, another version of that same thing is like people, oh, I must just be a piece of shit. No, I mean, I think people still, there's more of an honor among thieves idea. But, like, I know people like, I have some dope and we're both going to be sick if we don't use it. And I'm not going to get super high, but I'll break you off a piece. So we're
Yeah,
at least both not feeling like absolute shit. You know,
yeah,
I mean, it's a weird version of it, but it's honorable. And it's a proof of who you actually are. You know,
yeah,
like,
totally.
I mean, or even the fucked up version of like, I'm gonna steal your wallet and then help you look for it.
Yeah. Like I really, yeah, it's like these things are battling, and I think that's the part of the stress of addiction, right? Is like I have these goals that I am actually acting on every day to use, but then I also have these values, and they keep not matching up, and it's so stressful,
Yeah,
right? And it's causing all these problems.
totally. Because I don't want to be a piece of shit, but you know, I need to not deal with the parts of me I don't know how to deal with. So I'm just gonna say fuck it, and I'm gonna use, and then I won't matter anyway.
Yeah, 'cause your brain's literally like, well, you don't need to be kind to your family today in order to survive, but you do have to get dope if you want to survive.
Yeah. So that's
It's like,
where.
well, shit. I guess I should survive, and then hopefully, I mean, I'd steal the money, go get the dope, go on a run, steal a bunch of shit, and then give it to my family as presents.
To
Like
make
it
up
was
for
like,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
I just got to get high, but now I'm gonna try and like make up for my, now that I have some free time, some time to spare between runs, I'll try to make this up to you in my weird fucked up way.
Totally. And you just so reminded me of my dad. Like he wouldn't show up for the game or the school event or the whatever, but he'd show up with a big package of little shiny, pretty package or presents.
Hmm.
And to me, even to this day, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the thing. I want the person. I want the
Yeah.
presence. And like all of our, all of the things that matter. Obviously manifestations of early life situations, but I think about that now. Is like, how do we show up when? All right, so now I'm starting to get some self worth, and I'm starting to think about things a little differently, and I'm starting to approach things, you know, where I'm intentionally trying to think more long term about things. There's all these ideas of today and just for today and all the things that happen on a lot of the programs, but I think there is a little bit of value of starting to look. It's great to look down and see where your feet are, but I also need to know what the path in front of me looks like.
Hmm.
And I need to kind of have a clear destination. There's the punch card in the book, which is, when we want to make change, it's most people go from this is the change I want to how do I do it? And I think that's a little disjointed. So instead of that, how do you go from the change I want and then don't worry about the how to part at all, but describe to me a clear destination you're trying to get to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's okay if you maybe don't really believe it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if you're like, that's what I like, but man, I can't even fathom that happening. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that. Okay, but just imagine it for a second. It's okay not to believe it
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Yeah. So I mean, if you were to think about it, say, change. I want to get a new house. Okay. So don't worry about the how-to part. But where are you actually trying to get? What kind of house is it? Is it a house? Is it a log cabin? Is it, you know, is it a condo? Is it an apartment? What is it? How many bedrooms does it have? Does it have a kitchen? What color are the walls? Is it green? Like really super granular in details. Because what you're doing is you're painting a vision in your mind's eye of where you're trying to go. So now that I have a really super clear destination, so I want to see the change I want. I want to go to the clear destination I have. Now that I've painted that picture of exactly what I'm looking for, now let's go to how do I get it done? Because now I have a vision of where I'm actually trying to go and what I'm trying to create.
Yeah, and I like this kind of like skipping the how to in the moment because that part can get really stressful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we feel like I don't even know if I'm capable of making this change, right? I've felt so powerless over anything I wanted in my life for so long that like dreaming is actually a little bit scary. But at least if I put the how to on the back burner for a second, I'm not going to get like immediately overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can actually start to see a way forward. Because the problem, when you don't have a clear destination, then you come up against struggles. You don't know where the fuck you're going. Like you don't know how to overcome them. Because I come up to this struggle that I'm having. I'm like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna go do that other thing completely different than this, or I'm gonna come to a complete halt because I don't know I don't know where the fuck I'm going. So I just come to a grinding halt, as opposed to when you have a clear destination, you're like, oh, I'm just going to go a little this way. The obstacles get really easy to negotiate when you know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. If I'm driving down the road, I'll just go block this way and around it. There's a traffic jam because I know where I'm going. But most of us don't set a clear articulated destination. So we get overwhelmed and then, oh, this isn't going to work anyway, so I may as well just give up and say, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you're increasing your dedication maybe to the vision. Kind of like, we talk about the importance of saying, like, I don't do that thing because it doesn't align with my values. Not like, oh, I don't think I should and I probably can't right now because bad things might happen and I'll think about that later. And, like, if it's just like, I don't do that. That's not part of my values. I don't use. You can ask me as many times as you want. I don't use. I don't use. I don't use. It's kind of like I think about like something as simple as maybe like driving home from work. Like if every time I pass a gas station, I'm like, I can't stop and get minis. That's not good. And then the next 7-Eleven pops up. Oh, I can't stop there. I shouldn't stop there. I can't stop there. I'll get alcohol. And then the fourth one passes, right? Like the whole ride home is so miserable. Instead of just being like, I'm going home. That's my destination. Period. And no matter what passes me, I don't do that. I'm going home.
Yeah. So you're moving towards progress. You're moving in a direction instead of avoiding a direction.
Mm-hmm.
You're moving progressively forward instead of avoidance.
Yeah, and you just
sense.
make that decision in that moment. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going.
Yeah.
Like la 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 la. Like nothing else matters.
Yeah. And so I don't sit there and progressively talk myself. Because even by saying something you don't want, you're actually re-embedding it. Don't use. I'm actually just hyper-focusing on using. Never don't get me wrong. You shouldn't use.
Don't stop at the gas station. Don't stop. Instead, just like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm going straight home. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk myself into some version of bullshit again on how that works. So, well, cool. I appreciate it. What do we take away from today? Like, how do we start? You talked about if nothing else matters, anything goes. The antidote to that, community.
Mm-hmm.
Finding other people who can help me see value in myself until I can find it myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to, work on having a destination of what you're trying to create in your life, as opposed to just running to the how-to part.
Yeah, re-engage in the things that are valuable for you, like, and make that's your destination, right? Like it is important to me that I have a positive family life. Okay, that comes first. So I'm going straight home from work. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And then the other side of what we were talking about is having I just blanked.
Like rebuilding relationships.
Oh yeah, rebuilding relationships and accepting, I need to create a new dynamic with people. I need them to understand who I am now, and I need to accept their side of the street as well, of what that was for them, and working at that together so we both have some skin in the game to making these life changes, and it's not just all about one person.
Yeah.
We can accept the
and
other side.
That's what matters, right? Like, that's the destination, that's the value. So you've decided this thing matters. Instead of nothing matters, everything goes, oh, now I know some things that matter. Yeah. Now I know where to go. Yeah. Now I know what's not.
Now what's not on the table. What options I take away, because it's actually, that if people see value in me, then I start seeing a little bit myself, then I slowly start taking things off the table that are viable in my life. Because, oh wait, that actually will hurt me, and I kind of like me now, so why would I want to hurt something I like? There's little pieces to that. So, cool. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for chatting. I always love talking through these ideas with you. Yeah, super helpful. So, cool. Thanks, y'all.
All information and other content supplied or communicated in or through this video is for general informational purposes only and does not nor is intended to constitute legal or medical advice. Any viewer of this video should contact his or her own attorney, doctor, or other applicable advisor or practitioner to obtain legal, medical, or other applicable advice with respect to the accuracy, reliability, or potential application to such viewer of any matter discussed or portrayed in this video. Please do not act or refrain from acting in any way based on any information or content supplied or communicated in or through this video. The views expressed during this video are those of the individual presenters only and not those of Choice Recovery Path LLC or any of its customers, suppliers, or affiliates. Any liability with respect to actions taken or not taken by any viewer based on any information or content supplied or communicated in or through such video is hereby expressly disclaimed. All such information or content is expressly provided as is and free of any representation or warranty of any kind.